Okay, hi everybody. We're back and we're working on the FileZilla badge, learning how to create and build a web page for the very first time. So right now it's looking pretty lame. We've got a header section and a title. We have starting of a menu, page title. We have some lipsum, and we have a footer section here. And that's really not going to get us our next new job in web development anytime soon. But what we're going to do now is take this basic content, add a couple of little things content-wise, but focus on the CSS and the display of it. So I'm hoping to end up with is a web page that looks like this. So I think this is a little more professional, a little nicer looking. It's semi-responsive. It's not fully responsive. We're going to have to do some work for that. Like notice what happens to the menu section there and stuff like that. And we'll hit that up in another video later. But this gets us basically started, and that's kind of our goal here is to get started. Now, so let's see. What we need to do is, first of all, I'd like you to think about color. And if you Google colors that work well together, I found this website, Color Combos, and you click on that. And they have a whole bunch of different combinations of things that worked well. I liked this right off the bat, color combo 7626, but the colors it doesn't matter. You choose whichever set of colors that you want to choose. If you're like me and a little bit color illiterate, you need a cheater sheet like this. But if you have colors and that you want to work with favorite colors and things like that, I'm going to click on here. Also, another good website is colorpicker.com. And we'll be using these colors. And notice these codes right here, 525, 564, 748, 28F, 96COC3. These are all of the hexadecimal representations of red, green, and blue. Yeah, I think it's, no, RGB. Yeah, RGB. Red, blue, and green. Is that it? These are the hex codes for the colors, and basically by pushing in these codes you'll be able to display these various colors. So I'll be referring to this, and I'm basically going to get my color codes from that website there. But how do we get to this place here? How do we get this looking like this? So as you can see, I've already created a page called test HTML. I've kind of proven it out to myself first, but how do we get this to look like it? So let's start off. First of all, what I did notice is I do want to add a couple of more links. I want to add a home link, so no matter where I am, I can go back home, and I want to add a contact link so I can have a contact page on there. So what I'm going to do is squeeze in a couple of links. Let's just copy one of these here. Control V, Control V. Call this one contact. And then call this one, oops. Didn't mean to do that. Call this one home. Control S. Let's see. Let's hang on a second. Yeah, so I had something open there, so I closed that off. And now if I refresh, you can now see home and contact are added there. The other thing I want to do is let's change main content here to something like welcome to my journey. So I'll come down here. And again, you do not have to, your word is your verbiage and things like that. That's totally on you. You can do whatever you want. This is just to get you an idea and a starting point. Please make the website your own. So now I come back out here, refresh the page. Welcome to my journey is a part of that. I think footer's the way I want it to be. Although I'll wait, I'll show you that. So now from here, what we need to do is, there are three types of ways of implementing CSS. One is an external style sheet, one is embedded into the page, and one is inline directly into the tag. And later on in the CSS, we'll talk about how to implement all three. Quite honestly, the best way of going about it is an external style sheet. And what I want us to do is to go ahead and create an external style sheet. So if you go File, New, and we're going to call this, well, let's do a Save As right away. Let's go File, Save As, and we're going to put it in the CSS folder. And I already had that there. So we're going to call it, let's see, boom, 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 boom. Hang on a sec. Sorry about that. I thought I deleted the file already. So File, Save As, it's just a blank sheet, CSS, and then let's call this my style 01.css. Now we have a blank style sheet. And if you remember also, we had in there, we had created, I provided for you a file called Normalize. Don't worry about this. That's my cheater version that I'm using. Normalize CSS. So the first thing we want to do is we want to implement the Normalize CSS, and then we want to implement, and because the way in which style sheets get executed is in order. So if you set something to red, like the H1 tag to red in the first style sheet, but then two style sheets later you set it to green, it's going to end up being green. So the first thing we want to do is normalize our style and get everything set, and then we want to implement our own style sheet. So let's go to the index page, and then type this line of code in the head section right under the title, link href double quotes CSS, that's referencing the folder, / normalize CSS, and it's the style sheet that we're implementing. So implement this code here and then save it. Then if you come back out to your page and then do a refresh, notice that things change. And this is a good default setting for your for all your web pages, is to start off with the normalized CSS, that everything is going to work to the best of its ability with all the different browsers. And if you type in normalize.css in Google, it sends you to the link that I provided you in the documentation to grab the latest, most greatest recent version of this file. The next thing we want to do is then just copy this link, and we want to change normalize to my style 01. And what we're going to do is Control S, we're going to save it, and we're referencing now this blank style sheet that doesn't do anything. So let's start working our style and add some things to it. And I'm going to kind of try to do it in order of from top down, and we'll watch the page develop and get created. I'm actually going. Let's start off with this main section. This main section is tight to the margins and it doesn't have any color. I am going out to the color picker site and I'm choosing colors based upon these numbers here, different colors for backgrounds and text, and we'll watch it kind of come together. So the first set of tags, the first thing I want to do is I want to reference the main tag. And if you remember here in our HTML page, we had a main tag. Here's the start of the main, and here's the ending of the main. So remember that the main tag didn't display main, didn't do anything, but it's a marker. It's a starting point and an ending point. So we want to do stuff to that marker, to that area of the page. The first thing I want to do, a couple of spaces, I want to change the background color. And I'm going to, using my color combo website, I found FEF6EB semicolon. Really important with CSS. We have the element that we're changing, we have a delimiter of a colon, we have the thing we want to do, and a semicolon at the end. And each element has a beginning curly Q bracket and an ending curly Q bracket. And then I'm going to hit enter. And padding, padding basically, I want some space all around my text. I want to give it a little breathing room. I could go padding on the top, padding on the bottom, padding on the sides. I can separate each one by having 4 elements there, but I just want everything to be a space of 10. So now, watch what happens when I refresh the page. Notice that the color changed. I'm not sure how it's going to look on the video. The color changed. And I got some spacing around the edge here, a little breathing room. It's a little happier now. The next thing we want to do is let's do some work on the header. So we're going to reference the header element. And the first thing we want to do is let's align the text. And I'm going to hit save. And watch what happens when I align the text. Everything going to the middle. So now we're controlling how it looks. The web page itself, the index HTML page, is the contents, the data, but the style sheet is the visual representation. So what happens is that we can reference this style sheet. What's really going to be great is that by these 2 lines of code right here in the head of every single page you use, you can guarantee that every single page will look the same. And that way you have consistency across your websites. So now what we want to do is we want to add, I'm going to add a background to my header section. And because I'm really into cars, I'm going to add this background of my Corvette. And I want the background size to cover the whole margin area. So background colon URL parentheses, and then I'm referencing, and sometimes the referencing can be kind of tricky depending upon where things are. Sometimes you have to have IMG, but in this case I need to have a relative reference, excuse me, /IMG, because you remember the pictures are in that IMG folder for images. And then I want the cover, that picture to cover the whole area of the header tag. I save it and I refresh it. And I'm getting some tags here, but it's kind of messed up. It's not the way I want it, and we're not here yet. But you also notice that I have a picture of myself in there as well. So let's get that happening, and that's going to be happening actually back in our index page. So if we go to we're dealing with our header section, and what we want to do now is we want to add my picture in here. Now we use an image tag for that. And notice that there's a couple of things going on here, and I'm going to purposely for a second just misspell the name of the file, the image. But I'm referencing, notice here, it's /img/ the name of the file, alt, and the title. So I'm going to save that, and I'm going to refresh. We've got the image up here, and notice right here, you can barely see it, but it says Prof. Paul Gruhn. And that's happening right here from the alt tag. One that helps for Google searching and things like that. But basically, if there's a problem with if there's a problem with the image referencing, it will display that. Now, if I spell it correctly, where it's Paul-Gruhn JPEG, save it. Let's go out to our folder here a second. If you remember, here's our images. So here's our Corvette picture, and here's the picture of myself. And so now, if we refresh the page, now we have that picture of me there. Still not as sharp looking as this is. So we need to do some work. We do have, oh, and the other thing, I think if I mouse over, notice here we have Prof. Paul Gruhn, and that's happening because of the title page. I believe, if matter of fact, I have the same thing, and let's go. Prof. Paul Gruhn says hi. I'm going to save that, refresh the page, and notice there that the title tag on the mouse over is saying that. That's also really helpful. For instance, if you have an image that's a link, you can say click here to do such and such. Click here for things like that. So that using the title tag in the image tag gives you that on the mouse over, and the alt tag gives you the if something happened like the image is missing or misspelled, we'll display that in the box. But this picture does not look near as nice as this picture. So now that's going to happen back in the CSS file. So now in our CSS file, what we want to do is some work to the image. We want to change the image, and we want to add this code here. We're going to go margin 40 pixels, and that's going to give us a margin from the top, and then 0 pixels, 0 pixels, 0 pixels. We're going to do a border of 7 pixels wide and solid and white, and a border radius of 20 pixels. So if we add this code to the, we're having an image tag here, curly Q bracket, closing curly bracket. We're going to do the margin, the border, and the border radius. And if we hit that, now we've got a nice little box. And now it's starting to look a little nicer. Okay, the other little trick I'd like to show you while we're here dealing with this image side, and what's interesting here is this is going to happen to all of your images. So you might not want to do it to this image. You might want to do what I'm going to show you next to a class or a separate version of it. But if we take this border radius and change it from 20, if we change it to 180 and save that in our CSS file, now what we have is a round picture. And so depending on what you want, you've just turned a square picture into a round picture. It makes it kind of nice. Again, I want all of my pictures to be consistent. I don't want them all to be round. And since I am dealing with the image tag overall as a whole, we're just going to keep it that way. Okay, the next thing that I want to change and modify is this text right here, this H1 tag that's doing my main title page, and this H2 tag here. So looking at my index, we see that we have the H1 tag displaying this information, and then the welcome my H2 tag. So if I come down here and I add now H1 curly Q bracket, leave some space, H2 curly Q bracket, leave some space. And what I want to do is add some color and add some padding, and I want to center it. And so the color, I grabbed a color off of my color combo, text align, center, and padding. And then I did the same thing, grabbing another color for my H2. Save that, and now refresh the page. And now a little lighter color there. It's not white or black, but it's a little nicer. And now I've got this kind of sandy brown color happening there. We still have a pretty ugly footer happening, and we still have a really ugly, this menu is not going to work at all for us. So let's head in that direction now. We've got our image tag already. Now, if you remember, our menu was in the nav section, but the real menu meat is happening with this unordered list. And so what we're going to do is we're going to add an unordered list. I'm going to format that. What we want is some spacing to happen to it. So padding : 10 pixels. And we want the color. We want the color of this to be a little different. We want to have a kind of a solid color behind there. And so we'll go background dash color : 525564. Again, I grabbed that from my color combo website that we found online. And we save that, and then we refresh. And now we've got a color. But we still got this bulleted list happening up, down. We have the bullets, and it's really not, and then when I mouse over it, nothing's happening. There's no activity going on there. So it's still not really it's not this menu. And notice when I mouse over, I get a little subtlety of color change there. So what we need to do is we need to modify the LI element. The LI element is the actual individual bullets that happen there. And to do that, right now they are top bottom, but there is a attribute called display. And if we say inline, semicolon, and let's add, and so let's just look at inline first of all. So if we save that and we refresh the page, now what we have is ugly blue with this inline right here, and still it's not kind of what we want. We're getting closer, and we want to add some padding. Again, we want the text to breathe. 0 pixels for the side, 10 or top 10 pixels, and 0 pixels and 10 pixels, and we'll save that. And what's really important is, it's really good to have kind of a couple of windows open and to make a quick change, save it, and see what it's like, and go back and forth like we're doing here. Refresh. Now you'll notice that the rows are viewing nicely. There's space in between each other. The padding there. Let's see if I got that right. Yep. Oh, the UL. Oh, do you know what? I made a mistake here. Look at that. Yeah, I was wondering why I wasn't getting any padding on the top. I got a semicolon there. I need to put a colon there. Let's save that and then save it. Yeah, now I'm getting the space up below it. But now I can't see the text. It's this default blue that happens with href text. So what we want to happen is when we are dealing with a link, when we're dealing with this A tag here, this link, we want it to be a different color. First, what we want to do is we want it to be white when it's just displayed, because white will pop pretty nicely against this grayish background. And then from there, if we hover, we'll go to that softer, I think it was a blue that we were using here, right here. Yeah, so we want that action to happen. So what we're going to do is in our style sheet, we're going to style the A element, just call it white, and then we're going to style the A element with an event called hover. So it's A : hover semicolon curly Q bracket color, and then this was the color that I grabbed from the website and went there. So let's save that and refresh the page. And now we've got color that looks decent, and then the mouse over is working. So from there, we're actually in pretty good shape on the top part of our web page. It's looking pretty good. The next thing we need to do is let's deal with this bottom. And that's going to be basically using the same things we've already done before to the footer element. We're going to align the text. We're going to give it some padding, and we're going to change the background color. Text align center, padding 10 pixels all the way around, and a background color of that grayish kind of color, I think it is. Save it. Refresh it. Now, what we have happening here that isn't too nice is, remember early on we put this horizontal rule here to separate the footer from the body text. Well, we don't need that anymore. It's just, it doesn't look right. It's not giving us the clean look that we want. So what we're going to do is just go back into the HTML, go down to that footer section right here, and this HR tag, just delete it. We don't need that anymore. So there we go there. We saved that. We refresh the page, and we scroll down to the bottom. And now we've got a halfway decent looking page. There are tons of elements in CSS that you can change and manipulate and view. If you were to the place that I live for finding stuff, and a place that Google always takes you, is w3schools.com. And if there is one website that is just about every professor, every person, everybody who does anything with the web, if you didn't want to pay the big bucks to go to and get a master's degree, and you just really wanted to learn how to do website stuff, web development, you could spend your time just starting off from the top down, HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, each one of these. And the amount of knowledge that's on this website is phenomenal. It's been around for years. I can't remember a time when w3schools.com wasn't here. But under Learn CSS, then they have all of the different pieces and elements. And you really want to focus on CSS3 and then also on CSS responsive. They give you great examples. They give you situations where you can try the code yourself and see what happens. And highly recommend spending time here with as you get into CSS with learning how to if you want to learn CSS and get into a lot of the idiosyncrasies of it, this is a great starting point. But the good news is we now have a website. We have, oh, do you know what? I forgot one other thing. Did I do this right? So the one thing here is we added home and contact. We can make this home page work. Get rid of that pound sign and just put a slash key right there. And that way, no matter what page you're on, you'll go, when you copy this to the next page or the next page or the next page, you'll go forward. And matter of fact, what we could do is let's do that. Let's kind of build up these pages and get them ready to go. So we're going to have a page called bio.html. So do that for the about me, and then change that pound to resume.html, hobbies.html, badges.html, and then contacts.html. And then save this for index. Then if we refresh the page, and if we click one of these pages, file not found, because we didn't create those pages yet. The bio page is not found. It doesn't exist yet. So now, at this point, I think we have a pretty good base plate of pages, of a page that we can use as a standard for all of our websites. So what I like to do then is, once I know I've got the basic format, is I then like to go File, Save As. It's already saved as index, but I want to save it as template.html. Now I have template.html, so if I was to go out to my folder, click on template.html, it looks, you can see here, template.html, it looks just like my index page. I'd expect it to. Now, what I want to do in Notepad++ is I want to open up my template page, and let's create the pages I need: bio, resume, hobbies, badges, and contacts. So if I go File, Save As, change the word template to bio. Now what's interesting is, here it is with bio up here, and I'm going to change the sub-page heading to my bio page, or just my bio. And I'm going to go Control S and save it. Now I'm going to go File. Let's see, I can't really see. File, Save As, resume.html. Now I am working my resume page here, and let's change bio to resume. Control S to save that. Now go File, Save As, so hobbies.html, save, HOBBIES, hobbies. And then I think we got one more, two more, badges and contacts. So File, Save As, badges, and then change the title from hobbies, my ICM, my ICM505 badges. And then one more, File, Save As, contact.html. Save that, change this here to contact me. And again, it's saving it, and then save that. Now, as I take a look here in my ICM505 folder, don't worry about this test HTML. That was just a page that I was building. We have template HTML, which is a copy of our index page. And we have our index page, we have resume, hobbies, contact, bio, and badges. So if I double click now on index HTML, I now have my web page. And now if I click on About Me, notice that it says my bio. Just curious here, resume, hobbies, badges, and contact. What happened with contact? I must have had a typo, and that means I have to fix all of my pages. So my bad. Let's see. Contact HTML. So I messed up something on the link. So let's come back up here. Let's pull up. And I also noticed that my slash didn't work. So probably the best thing to do is put index HTML on that. That's the most secure way. So if I pull up template, let's go up to template and see what's happening there. Contacts.html. And what happened there with the save it? Oh, do you know what? I named it wrong. So that's easy. That's an easy fix here. So let's just rename contacts contacts to contacts. Now come back here. And now if I hit contact, there we go. Although the contact page doesn't have the title on there. No. So now file, open. Contacts. Oh, do you know what happened there? There was a typo here. I deleted that by mistake. You have a bad tag, it's going to mess you up. Save that. There we go. Now, if I refresh this, click on badges, and then contact, now we're good. The one thing I was... Okay, so the one thing is the home link isn't working. So I think what we have to do here is change the safest thing to do is just, is it, let me go back. Did I do a backslash? So that's on contacts. Let's go to contact, refresh. Yeah, now right here on the href, on each one of the pages, change those to index HTML. Apologize for that. So I just did it for the contacts page. So if I go contact, refresh, now the home page works. So do that for badges, hobbies, resumes. I'm going to pause for a second and make those changes.